A news had spread panic among the people of Tokyo City for many days. It was reported that in the surrounding areas, a few species of strange monsters known as ghouls were roaming freely among humans. These creatures were very dangerous and survived by consuming human flesh as their food. Kanaki and his friend Heidi were hanging out at a restaurant when Heidi informed Kanaki about the news regarding these ghouls. Kanaki was completely unaware of the situation. Heidi explained that the ghouls looked and behaved like humans, and they could be anywhere among the human population, posing as normal individuals while secretly consuming human flesh. Suddenly, both of them realize that Kanaki's longtime crush is approaching them. Heidi insists that Kanaki talk to his crush without hesitation this time. As he tries to grab the book, it falls to the ground, giving Kanaki an opportunity to talk to her. Her name is Rise, and she also has the same book as Kanaki, which impresses her. Finally, Kanaki musters the courage to ask her to lunch. A girl named Toka who works at the restaurant is observing both of them. The next day, they meet at a restaurant, sharing about themselves and enjoying the moment. However, Rise refuses to eat anything as she had lunch not long ago. Suddenly, Toka standing outside the restaurant once again staring both of them. At night, both of them are going home together, when Rise tries to get close to Kanaki and hugs him. Kanaki doesn't believe it, but he also slowly tries to hug her. As soon as he grabs her, Rise bites him hard on the shoulder. Kanaki is in extreme pain, but Rise tears off his flesh and starts eating it with gusto. Kanaki is writhing in pain and doesn't understand what happened to him when Rise suddenly transforms herself into a ghoul. She tries to scare Kanaki by taking out her big fangs tacticals. Even in such a bad condition, Kanaki tries to escape from her, but she attacks him with her tacticals and pierces his body. She starts to lick the blood dripping from Kanaki's mouth. She is about to eat him when suddenly some heavy iron pipes fall on Rise from above, due to which she leaves Kanaki and dies under the pipes. The next day, Kanaki regains consciousness in a hospital when a doctor tells him that his surgery has been completed and he is now well. Kanaki doesn't understand how he survived such a serious incident last night. Then the scene shifts to where two CGC agents Mado and Amon are investigating the body of a dead ghoul, and they find a ring on one of his fingers, which they keep for investigation as a clue to find his family members and other ghouls. CGC is an organization created by the government to capture ghouls, which kills them and removes their tacticals to make weapons to easily capture the remaining ghouls. A meeting is taking place at CGC headquarters regarding the deceased ghoul, named Azaki. Everyone learns that he arrived in District 20 a year ago after killing a police officer in District 13. Agent Amon explained that the ring was a wedding ring from a French brand, which comes as a pair of two rings. The second ring might still be on Azaki's wife's finger. They also found a piece of fabric from his wife's skirt on Azaki's body. Based on these evidences, the agents began searching for Azaki's wife. After a few days, Heidi encounters Kanaki at the university, but Kanaki doesn't mention anything about the accident that occurred to him that night. Later, they go to a restaurant for lunch. Kanaki becomes nervous when the food is served, but he hesitantly takes a bite. Soon after, he starts feeling unwell and vomits there. Back at home, Kanaki tries to eat from the refrigerator, but everything he consumes makes him vomit and his health worsens. He's confused as to why he can't eat anything despite being hungry. Suddenly, he is attacked by Rise, but then realizes it's all an illusion. After splashing water on his face in the washroom, he looks in the mirror and sees one of his eyes turning red like a ghoul's. After this, he goes to a public place and starts behaving strangely after seeing humans. Then suddenly, he starts smelling human flesh from somewhere. Following that smell, he reaches a narrow street where a ghoul kills a person and eats his hand. Kanaki, who had already turned into a ghoul, gets very scared after seeing the severed head of a human being in front of him because all this was completely new to him. Nishiki, the leader of the ghouls of that area, arrives there and starts beating Kanaki badly for entering their area. He threatens Kanaki that all humans in the area are his victims. Just then, Toka, who is also a ghoul, arrives at the scene, fights with Nishiki, defeats him, and saves Kanaki because Kanaki belongs to District 20. After which Toka starts eating the dead human's hand and offers it to Kanaki too, but Kanaki refuses to eat it and runs away from there. Toka finds it strange that despite being a ghoul, Kanaki is reluctant to eat human flesh. At the CCG, Agent Yemen informed that the research team has located the costume whose fabric was found on Azaki's body. Meanwhile, Kanaki's condition was worsening day by day due to hunger. He is unable to bear all this and finally reaches out to Toka asking for help. He tells her that he has not eaten or drunk anything for 2 days. Instead of helping, Toka thinks he is a cowardly ghoul and starts yelling at him because he can't eat human flesh and cannot protect himself from other ghouls. However, Toka's boss Yoshimura arrives and stops Toka from yelling at him. He reminds Toka of the policy of their group, named Anteiku, that they should help ghouls in trouble. After which Yoshimura takes him to his restaurant and tells him that due to Rise's tacticals attack, some of his cells have been transferred into Kanaki's body, due to which he is half human and half ghoul. He gives him a cup of coffee to drink and informs him that we ghouls can drink it. Kanaki fearfully takes a sip of coffee and digests it very easily. He is crying with joy because he ate something for the first time in 2 days. Yoshimura used to run a restaurant for ghouls in which he used to secretly give human flesh in packets to his customers. Then he gives human flesh to his daily customers Kosaka and his daughter Hinami because both of them are also ghouls. Yoshimura would also give him a packed piece of human flesh to take home so that he could muster up the courage and eat it alone. Being half human, humanity is still alive inside him, so it is very difficult for him to survive by eating human flesh. After sometimes he cannot control himself when he sees the pieces of human flesh and tries to eat them several times but is unable to and finally wraps it in tape and throws in the dustbin. Next morning, Kanaki reaches the university covering his eyes, and when Heidi tries to find out the reason from him, he gives the excuse of eye infection. After which he takes Kanaki to the lab and tells him that he has made friends with a third-year senior who will provide him with pharmacy notes, and he has invited Heidi to meet him in the lab. But when he meets the senior, Kanaki is stunned as it is none other than Nishiki who attacked Kanaki. They both act like they don't recognize each other in front of Heidi, after which Nishiki reveals that he had conspired to eat Heidi and called him to meet him in the lab. Meanwhile, Nishiki attacks Heidi on the head and renders her unconscious. He is under the misconception that Kanaki will also support him in eating Heidi. Kanaki tries to save his friend but Nishiki is stronger than expected. Nishiki gets angry at Kanaki and attacks him too, brutally beating him and throwing him away. Nishiki is about to eat Heidi when Kanaki attacks Nishiki and turns into a ghoul. He attacks Nishiki and starts beating him brutally. Nishiki begs him for his life but Kanaki is so angry that he doesn't listen. Nishiki tries to escape the lab for his life but Kanaki kills him by piercing his testicles through his body. After which he tries to wake up Heidi, but seeing the blood gushing from her mouth, he cannot control himself and starts licking him like a hungry hunter. Then Toka reaches the spot with one of her friends, Yomu. Seeing all this, she finds it quite disgusting, after which Kanaki stops doing this. Agent Amon discovered that thousands of skirts similar to Azaki's wife's have been sold in the past several months at an outerwear shop. He requested his shop owner to arrange CCTV footage. Meanwhile, Kanaki regained consciousness at Yoshimura's house and inquired about Heidi. Toka informed him that Heidi had been admitted to the hospital and fallen into a coma. Kanaki starts feeling disgusted with himself and thus unknowingly goes out of control and tries to eat his only friend. On this, Yoshimura refuses to let Kanaki regret himself and stops him from meeting his friend in the future, and to understand the nature of ghouls more closely, he gives him a job in his restaurant. Kanaki is working at the restaurant and introduces himself to Kosaka and Hinami, and he also sees Hinami reading a book that he had read earlier. At night, Yomu and Kanaki both go to the forest to collect the dead body of a person. Then he tells Kanaki that the GOULs of the Anteiku group never kill any human to eat flesh, but only those humans who died on their own or in any accident. Here, agents Mado and Amon obtain the CCTV footage and notice a ring similar to Azaki's on a woman's finger. They trace her to his wife, who is none other than Kosaka. Additionally, they discover from the CCTV footage that Kosaka lives in District 20. Subsequently, they devise a plan to locate Kosaka and kill her. At night, Himani comes to Kanaki to ask him to explain a paragraph from a book, after which Kanaki reads the book to her. Himani gets emotional and tells Kanaki that some agents had murdered her father a few months ago. Since then her mother and she have been living in this area. In the next scene, Yomu gathers all the members of the Anteiku group and informs everyone that the two CCG agents who murdered Azaki have come to know about Kosaka and Himani, and now both of them are their next target. After all consultation, they decided that both of them should now be shifted to District 24 as the agents will not be able to find them there. After hearing all this, Kanaki also requests to join this mission to save Kosaka and Himani. After which Toka takes Kanaki to a place where he meets a man named Yuta who used to make masks for ghouls, and then Yuta begins to take the shape and size of his face. Finally, the day comes when both Kosaka and Himani are going to move to District 24 and they both thank Yoshimura at the restaurant, say goodbye to everyone, and leave. The weather starts turning bad and it starts raining heavily, due to which both Kosaka and Himani come and stand under an old bus stand. Then suddenly the agents reach the same bus stand to kill both of them. Meanwhile, due to bad weather, Yoshimura sends Kanaki to bring both Kosaka and Himani back to the restaurant. Agent Mado tries to frighten Kosaka by showing her Azaki's mask. Kosaka pleads with the agents to spare her daughter as she has not committed any crimes. However, the agent is very cruel. Kosaka instructs Hinami to run away and she leaves for the restaurant to seek help. Kosaka transforms into a ghoul to fight the agents and uses her tentacles to defend herself. Hinami encounters Kanaki on the way and asks for his help. They both reach the bus stand, only to find that the agents have injured Kosaka. Kanaki stops Hinami from going to them because the agents want to kill Hinami after her mother and Kanaki is not strong enough to fight them. The agents take out a weapon from their suitcase which was made by removing the tentacles of Hinami's father Azaki, which makes Hinami feel very sad and she starts crying. Finally, Agent Mado kills Kosaka in front of Hinami. In the next scene, Kanaki deeply regrets that he could not save Kosaka. Toka becomes very angry and decides to take revenge against those agents for Kosaka's death. At night, Toka attacks Agent Amon and Yemen and kills Yemen with one blow by thrusting her tentacles into his body. After this, she beats Amon badly and is about to kill him when Mado attacks Toka with his weapon and injures her hand. Toka, being weaker than Mado, somehow escapes from there to save her life. Kanaki, seeing Toka's injured hand, tries to help her, to which Toka calls him a cowardly ghoul and walks away, but the truth is that she is sad to lose to Mado. Kanaki begins to take Toka's words seriously and remembers that the agents had killed Kosaka in front of him and he was unable to do anything. After which he requests Toka to train him. Toka attacks him and proves that he is extremely weak like humans, but he is determined to become stronger and take revenge on the agents, after which he starts training with her, which includes various exercises and fighting techniques. As Kanaki starts improving himself, he becomes stronger day by day and finally gets control over turning himself into a ghoul. Here, agents Mado hatch a plot to capture Hinami and the other ghouls. Meanwhile, Hinami was still struggling to cope with her mother's sudden death and had lost her appetite. Then suddenly she smelled her mother's smell, and following that smell, she reached the same bus stand where the agents killed her mother. Toka and Kanaki grew concerned when they couldn't find Hinami at the restaurant and hurried to search for her. Hinami sees on the bus that her mother's severed hand is wrapped in a piece of cloth. Then Agent Mado arrives there, who had hatched this conspiracy to catch her. Mado calls Amon and informs him that Hinami has been found and that he should quickly reach him with his new weapon. After some time, Kanaki attacks Amon's car and causes an accident. Then he appears in a new avatar and is fully prepared to fight him. Amon also takes out his new weapon, which looks very dangerous. A fierce battle breaks out between them and both of them are overpowering each other. Here, Hinami, escaping from Mado, reaches an open field near a river, but Mado chases her and comes there too. He is about to attack Hinami when Toka reaches the spot, after which once again Toka and Mado fight, and this time also Mado injures Toka from several places with his weapon. Here, Amon's weapon has a heavy impact on Kanaki, after which he turns into a ghoul and takes out his tentacles, after which he breaks Amon's weapon and thrusts his tentacles into his body and injures him in many places. In the end, he throws him hard on top of the car and leaves him alive in a half-dead state, saying that the person inside him is still alive, and does not allow him to take anyone's life unnecessarily, and saying this, he leaves from there. Meanwhile, Toka's condition is serious and she is not giving up even after being badly injured, after which Mado takes out a new weapon of his which is made of Hinami's mother's tentacles. He attacks Toka with that weapon and he starts teasing Hinami by showing her mother's tentacles. Hinami gets very angry at this and turns herself into a ghoul, takes out her tentacles, and injures Mado by cutting off his hand in just one attack. Toka tells Hinami to kill Mado, but Hinami decides not to because she knows it won't bring back her parents. However, Toka anticipates that Mado will try to kill Hinami again, so she kills him. After that, Hinami leaves with Toka, and there, Kanaki comes to support Toka and leaves with her. Later, Amon visits Mado's body and cries bitterly. He then offers flowers at Mado's grave and swears to avenge her death. Heidi's condition improves, and he comes out of the coma. In the final scene, Hinami gifts a book to Kanaki as a thanks. Everything is back to routine at the restaurant, then Kanaki comes across the table at which he used to sit with his friend. The film ends with Kanaki reminiscing about the old moments. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and turn on notifications to stay updated with all our latest videos.